Welcome, welcome. Nice to see everybody today. It's me, Brandy, with Yes, I Am the Veteran, and my beautiful co-host, Miss Melissa Palacios. Haven't seen you in a minute, Melissa. I'm excited you're out here.
Yeah. Oh no, my God.
Wow, girl. Then she's gone. But
My God.
either way, we'll figure it out. We'll talk through it. So, okay. So really quickly, I know everyone's had a crazy holiday. How does it? Hopefully, everybody had some fun or got to interact with everybody around the holiday season. I know I'm still feeling it. All that amazing food I had around the holidays. How about you, Melissa? How was your Christmas?
My Christmas was nice. I got to go over to my brother's Airbnb. He came into town and then just visited family. Hey, I'm back. And then Saturday, just relaxed because honestly, I've been working nonstop. That's why I haven't been able to jump on. I've been working late. So
I get it. The single mom life hustle. I get it.
oh, yeah.
Struggle. What was I gonna say? Yeah, I just got back in like a night ago from Wisconsin. That was a wild drive or a flight, and all the crazy stuff going on in the planes right now.
Oh yeah, dude,
Girl, it's wild. What was I gonna say? And I wanted, before we started going into our New Year's Mindset podcast, I did want to quickly talk about the portions of the I Am Vanessa Guillen Act being submitted into the NDAA or FYNDAA 22. Basically, what it means is it's the federal government was authorized, or the DoD was authorized $700 million a year. So that's basically like 5% of the government spending increase. Just so what they can do is help veterans, or actually service members that are having issues with sexual harassment, also like murder, domestic violence, and stalking outside of the chain of command. So basically, it takes it out of the commander's hands, and it's something that they have as far as a resource, and they don't have to worry about that reprisal, unlawful command influence, or having that mark on them, because too often victims of rapes or sexual assaults or things like that, their labs go missing. It's a fight for them to get their rape kits, or even just have it followed. So I'm really thankful that organizations like the Pink Berets advocated for our sister Vanessa, and they advocated and really did get it done in spectacular fashion. And I'm really thankful that that's something that is in the works. And they actually went as far as to add a article in the UCMJ in regards to punishing members that are in violation of it. Article 134 is now created for sexual harassment in the UCMJ, and it can be independently used as a punitive tool as well. Because there's some articles like they're like adjuvants, basically, like we don't like you, we want you out, so they kind of like added. This is actually entirely separate, so I think that that's great. So I'm glad that that's something that's out there, and not just women are victims of sexual assault or sexual abuse. I've seen men accused as well falsely. I've seen men go to jail for 18 years. It's been a long time coming, so I'm really thankful to see something like this out there just for service members in general, because all the way around, like if something happens to you like that, like you want to know that you have that support and you have those people in your corner. And it's really scary to have it just you by yourself, and you don't really feel that you have that sense of community or you have that backing. And it was sad to see what happened to Vanessa, but I'm glad that they're making changes, very needed changes, because there's what they say, like 20,000 victims of sexual assault per annum or something like that, which is wild and probably vastly underreported. So it's probably, unfortunately, far higher. But I just wanted to talk about it before we did get into our New Year's podcast, just because it did just pass on the 17th of December. So this just passed. So I just definitely wanted to get that out there.
No, definitely. Also, I just want to say, I think it's like, I'm glad that it is passed, because think about like all the unnecessary comments and opinions that people try to sway from victims that have been assaulted in some way. And, then people who have gone through these things, they don't want to have to live through that or deal with the people they work with or anybody's opinions, and they just don't want to deal with this. So this, being able to have the third party, like, it just makes it a better, hopefully, judicial outcome.
And because I mean, we know like the UCMJ, it's basically you're guilty till proven innocent, unless it's like one of the golden boys in the unit. Then it's like do it at your own risk. So unfortunately, hey MD, hey Michelle, hey Jean, good to see you guys on tonight.
Randy, I'm gonna just post from the phone because when I try to do it, that's why I got
whatever works best, the best. But yeah, so yeah, we have some links for later. So what we're going to talk about, Melissa actually got me doing last year. But before we do, it's been a year. It's what a year. This has been a wild year. So what, if you could recap some of your highest and most interesting moments of the year? I'll do mine too. So it's not just, it's not uneven. But what would you say would be your highlights for the last year? Highlights and lowlights. We'll do both. We won't lie.
highlight would be, of course, my son, and just seeing him. My son really is like my little inspiration. I really look up to my son in so many ways. So seeing him go through the year, knowing like I've been having a lot of low lights this year, not necessarily. Do have many highlights, but also just like everyone, low lights as well. And my son has been just like going, like riding with me, like just he just so he makes the hard things seem easier, if that makes sense. Like I look at my son and he just makes me feel so much better. But just seeing him blossom in school and just getting his confidence. As for me, I'm like, of course, went to my son. But for me, just still doing things that I thought like I wouldn't be able to do. I've been just networking all year, even through COVID.
Hustling. Like, what about all the stuff you've been doing? You've been doing stuff.
I have been working in a lot of promotions and marketing the past half a year. So that's why I'm out and about, working with different brands, agencies, things like that. And it's been so great. I've been just using my people skills for work, and it's been working. And I'm like also going into another career field. So that's one of my highlights is, wow, like you have to get really uncomfortable to see what you're capable of. Yeah. So that's what I'm really proud of myself most this year, is just being uncomfortable and figuring things out. Luckily, veterans, I feel like we're going to figure it out, right?
Yep.
What about you?
Oh, well, so I'll start with, I mean, my daughter is my world. She's ridden with me some crazy stuff. Apparently she's in the Miss Veteran America video more than some of the finalists last year. That was funny. But she's
so adorable.
Yes. But no, I think I even made it in there too. But
right.
Highlights and lowlights. I guess I'll add mine together so y'all be entertained. So I actually last year, if you would ask me this time last year, I was like, I'm going to be a serious journalist. I'm going to write for a magazine. I'm going to write about alternative therapies for people with PTSD. It turns out I'm not super great about working for editors, but well, it was more like they were changing my life story. I was like, no, that's not what happened. But no, it was a wonderful experience. I got to learn to be a journalist, but I struggled with clashes of opinion with people. So I just ended up just doing the 3 months. I ended up being a brand ambassador for a coffee company and doing an amazing photo shoot. And I also almost punched the photographer we fired in the face in the same day. But well, I was riding the Canon like literally between my legs. Like we were taking photos and like we fired him because he was like this creeper that basically lives in his mama's basement that like lives to take pictures of hot chicks. And I was just like, no, sir, like I'm not going to be your material. Like that's a solid pass. So we hired a photographer, like a legit one. And like he'd won awards, stuff like that. Well, he was like obsessed with going. We're like, no, like, I don't want you here. You can't be professional. I don't want you creeping on us. Like you can be, and then he wouldn't let it go. After like day 3 of begging, like he went to my his boss, and was basically like, it would be so great if we could go and blah, blah, blah. And she not thinking about it. So yeah, that's fine. I'm like, you're not paying for most of the shoot. But here and over there. But so this guy literally, like, I was like, you want to go? Cool. You can be our gopher for the day. So we're going to be on Sherman Tanks because we went to Drive Tanks. And that's on D-Day. And we did a photo shoot there. And when he got mad, well, he got there. He literally, as soon as we started taking pictures and I'm riding the tank like that, he literally gets mad and starts going nuts about with my other photographer and is taking pictures over his back. And I was like, whoa, sir, we fired you. No, back it up. He goes, make me. I was like, bro, poor choice of words. I got a whole bag of ammunition. But no, but it was an experience. But at the end of the day, I think I would be better to be my own boss. But it was a cool experience. I got to learn a lot about photography and how photo shoots are put together and things like that. I almost punched an Ink Master the same day as Miss Veteran America. You think I would have gotten better because like I was in like a high-speed chase the year before. So you would think like I was gonna be normal, right? I was like, I'm gonna be so good. I'm gonna behave. I'm not gonna do stuff because I was dating an actor that was in Blood In, Blood Out, and like he pressed my last nerve, and we had to go.
We're talking about the highs and the lows, Randy.
Girl, yeah, that's why I said I'm not gonna lie. Like I'm not gonna lie.
I feel like we're going off course. So yeah.
No, because people are always like, oh, you're so perfect about your life. I'm like, let me tell you about my life. But no, I wanted to be better. So like, I was like, I'm going to hide out. I'm going to go to a tattoo shop. When I was in Philadelphia, I met a well-known, very full of himself Ink Master. And he was like, oh, I'll tattoo you. I'll tattoo you. Yeah, blah, I got you. Well, that day, he basically went MIA and he didn't have a shop fully listed in Google. So I was trying to find him, and then he didn't have it. Well, I tried calling him direct through Messenger, and apparently he was trying to be shady with his girlfriend, who I was not trying to be part of. I actually brought her flowers to bail him out. Yeah, we got into it. He knows what he did. But that's a whole nother podcast. But no, I was very fortunate to meet RPG Coffee, and I was very fortunate that we were offered this podcast opportunity. I never thought in a million years people would want to hear what the fuck I had to say. But I'm thankful that people want to listen to me on occasion. But and I'm thankful that we got to do it together, and I'm thankful that we've had so many amazing guests this year. And like I said, it was just like, when they say like well planned events, like you never always come to fruition or something along those lines. They're best laid plans. Yeah, there you go. For me, I agree, because like I had so many plans for this year. I was going to behave. I was going to do anything, and it didn't end up that way. And honestly, I think that we as people would tend to beat ourselves up way too much about things that we really don't have control over in our lives. And I think that like what you had done last year with the vision board party, I think that it was something to kind of help me like start to like formulate what I wanted to do in the new year. So Melissa and I both wanted to talk about vision boards, and I wanted her to go over it a little bit as well. So I'm going to give the floor to Miss Melissa, and we can talk about the vision boards and how it helps with mindset. You're on mute.
Sorry, guys. So this will be the third year I've been doing vision boards, and I've also hosted a vision board party last year, which Brandy, we went on live, and just, before the event, we told people, it was just a few of us because, COVID. So I'll give you a little sneak peek of mine. A few things. Yes. So it's like all that. You could go get like a poster board from the dollar store. You can even if it's a piece of paper. But I would suggest a poster board and going, getting some magazine stickers or like things you see that you want pictures of. Like maybe it's a new car, a house, like just the point of the vision board is to see your goals that you want to happen. And how they say it's like you see it, you believe it. You write it down. Words are spelling words are spells, right? Like what you say will happen if you put
Speak it
thought
into
in.
existence.
Say again?
Speak it into existence.
Yeah. So when you put it down on paper, now you're thinking about it. You're thinking about what you want for yourself. You're putting it down on paper. And now hopefully you hang it up in your room, in your office. Like a few words of mine for this year for 2021 were pioneer spirit, get it done, stronger, body proud, and just a few of those. Like I know I didn't think about it, but like I've accomplished many of the things that I have put on my board without even realizing it. So I would, if maybe you don't know where to start, or maybe you don't want to go out to the store and things like that, you can also use Canva. Canva is an app that you can download on your phone. It's free. They do have like options to pay for upgrades or whatever, but honestly, the whole app is amazing, and you can make invitations, things, anything. But we're talking about the vision board here, and you can even go on Pinterest and get ideas like, maybe put a nice interior house, like living room. Maybe you want to like fix your inside of your house because it's going to make you feel better. If you wanted to focus on your health and things. Sorry, that's Biggie, y'all. It's like he knows we're live and he's just making all the noise.
Biggie's your dog.
Yeah, Biggie is my bulldog. But yeah, start with, man, if you don't even know where to start with 3 things that oh my gosh, I done disappeared. Start with 3 things that you want to work on. Maybe you're not a total fan, or maybe it's your year end of your review. Maybe your boss was like, "Hey, let's kick it up a notch." I know a lot of jobs have people write down their goals, what they want to work on for the next year, and it's like, "Hey, that's work, and that's great that you do goals for your job, but what about for yourself?" And so that's why I really encourage the vision board, and even just writing down our goals and staying on top of it, and little reminders like words of affirmation, things like that.
And even if you're not like so much like a vision board person, like I worked with a flight surgeon, and what he would do, and he actually ended up becoming like USAFE's head flight surgeon. But what he would always recommend to the airmen was to just draw like on a ladder on like just like a piece of board, tag board, or whatever you wanted to use. And each rung, he would put a goal, and he would just line out every goal as he met it. But he would give himself a certain period of time in which to accomplish those goals. Like something like that, where you're visualizing it. They actually have studies that prove that the more times you look at something, the more likely you are to implement it. So what she's doing, like she's right. Like for me, like it helped me because I had it next to my workstation. So every day I would see, all these things that I needed to get it together, and I also did like a list too. And then one thing you talked about with us before was like to write a letter to yourself. Like write a letter to yourself and then open it on New Year's next year, so 2022. So just to kind of like what you expect from yourself from the new year. It kind of helps you hold yourself accountable. Like, do you want to talk about that a little bit, Melissa?
Yes. So as far as the letter for myself, I just felt like you're really like getting deeper, like into your thoughts, into how you're feeling. A lot of times, I know I deal with anxiety. My friends, family, like we all deal with anxiety, and I'm sure like many of other people. But we ignore how we feel, and like I said, I'm like I've just been working, working, working. So we ignore how we feel, and it's like you don't have time to think about how you're feeling, so it's going to come out in other ways that you may not want it to come out, whether that be with aggression, with your words, with your hands. Like it just depends on the person, right? And at least writing down this letter, it's like get real with yourself. Like what I feel like the person that holds us back the most is ourselves. So it's like getting real with yourself. Okay, let's cut the BS. Like, and no, maybe even you need to be kinder to yourself. Maybe you're too hard on yourself, and talk to. Oh, I honestly, I feel like when you're writing this, talk to yourself like you're talking to the 5-year-old version of you, to the 5-year-old you. And be kind to yourself. And I honestly feel like, think about what you wanted as a little kid, what you wanted like for love to feel like, or what your life to feel like, and make those part of your goals. Like, it's just crazy, like writing things down and seeing like, wow, this I was holding on to this, like, and you'll just start to see change. So, and I'm sure, Brandy, like you reading your letter to yourself, like hopefully you are kinder to yourself. Hopefully you see what you've done, like we're able to accomplish. So
I wrote a letter to myself, and I did like none of the things in the letter, but I did a bunch of other shit. So I don't know if that counts.
hey, you're like, look, but that's what I'm saying. Even if it's not like goals, like even if it's just being nicer to yourself, like, or even just having some alone time with yourself, because I feel like as adults, a lot of us have families. We take care of other people besides ourselves. And even sometimes if you don't have maybe dependents or things like that, maybe your job, it takes a lot of your life. So just having some time for yourself, like it helps.
Well, even just finding like a creative outlet for yourself. Like everyone's like, oh, I'm not a crafty person. I'm not creative. Everyone is. It just depends on what it is that you do.
Yeah.
Hi. Good evening from Texas.
Yeah.
What was I gonna say? But for us though, like I mean, for me, I was like, I'm reading my letter to myself, and I'm dying right now. I may actually read mine. Brandy, past Brandy. I'm sorry, but no. I mean, I agree though. Like as far as things to do, like I mean, make yourself one goal that you intend to stick with. The year I was divorced, I made myself a resolution, and I intended to keep it, and I wanted to get my 100% VA rating because I was at 90, and I fought and I treated it like a part-time job, and by May I had 100%. So,
Okay.
I mean, its mindset is very powerful. A lot of people think, I can't. Why don't you think that you could and see what happens? Mindset's so important.
What I realized? It's kind of like procrastination. You need to, if you put like a deadline on something, as for me, I feel like I do better at it.
Mm-hmm. You don't want to let yourself down.
Yeah, so like with the procrastination, like say you have a paper due at midnight and it's 9 o'clock. Where are you at? Like the same day of like, oh my God. Like the best on it. So it's like, imagine how that would be with our goals. Like if we were like, hey, I'm gonna get it done in 2 weeks. Maybe it's a little unrealistic, but man, I wonder how far you would be able to get to your goal if you like put a time limit and really like
stuck to it. Absolutely. And that's the thing, is that a lot of us, we tend to focus so much on helping other people, we don't focus on pushing ourselves. And that's what's so important going into the new year is, yes, I have been through a massive amount of shit this year, but I need to drop that weight and push forward into the new year, because at the end of the day, you're your own best advocate. No one's going to push harder for you than you. If you guys want, so I'm going to read my letter. Well, I'll read the first page. Okay, so this is the letter I wrote for myself 1 year ago. I just opened it. So this is in my dream board, which I've done about half. I still got to work on the nursing. That one, yeah. Next year. So hopefully we made it in one piece. You've gone through more shit, obstacles, and just general hardship the last year than most have endured in a lifetime. I hope your ex-boyfriend is still alive and that you and another person didn't murder him. I dream of a time and a place where I can co-parent with my ex without violence, and I fighting, and Aurelia gets to see a better balance of both of us. I hope we're in a house. Sorry, self. Working on that one next year. Fighting puddle pirates for handicap is not worth it. There was this Navy guy that was like fighting for the handicap space for a solid year. It's ridiculous. And he was fine. That which made me more mad. So I hope I got my credit right moving into a house. I hope my business is growing and I work with my market of clients. I hope I stop cheating on my diet and look fierce for Miss Veteran American Orlando. I mean, I did, but I still cheated. I hope we didn't choke out Carrie. Which one? And are finishing The last article of 12 issues run. I hope I took and crushed my NCLEX exam and am now nurse bitch to people. Next year. So my job in the military, they actually have certain states where you can actually do an equivalency test to be an R, to be an RN. So I was in the process of taking the equivalency exam, really. So you're on mute. I can't hear you.
Sorry, somebody put, when is Ted Nugent gonna be on?
I mean, we can ask him.
That was so funny.
I know, it was like our first comment. I was like, I can't. But basically, like that, just like the letter, like, I mean, usually they're not read on a podcast, but it just kind of gives you the idea of like kind of what you'd write to yourself. You seal it, I attached it literally to the vision board. So I knew, like, I would open it, like, open on X day, like a little time capsule to yourself. So it's kind of interesting. I was laughing my ass off reading it the first time, but but it just really kind of helps you keep yourself accountable, and it helps to kind of, with especially after years like this, it's really hard to keep mindset and morale right where you're used to having it. So I
2021.
mean, but yeah, no, it's really important. What was I gonna say? And it's so, like, what are some of your goals for the next year?
A couple of my goals. Well, I'll start with outer. Of course, stick to the gym. I was going consistently, and then got COVID, and then just work, work,
Mhm.
work, work, work. So I've been in and out the gym. So I like to focus more on clean eating and moving my body, and also even adding a little more yoga to my routine. Um,
I mean, I think we know a woman.
and right, and as far as career wise, I definitely would love to start working with like a bigger brand as far as like marketing and just improve my skills. Like, I just feel like I can learn so much instead of like, I want to let them pay for like building up my skills. And of course, here with the podcast, we want to do more events, and hopefully with COVID, we can hopefully start gathering again soon, more often. And then for me personally, um, just spend more time with my son. I feel like I've had to work so much this past year.
Mhm.
It's been like kind of a drag, but we got to do what we have to do,
Yep.
and just really balance all of that. Try to just really find a healthy balance.
Yep, for sure. It's hard, especially when you're trying to do everything yourself. It's like, how many things can you juggle? Like one of those clowns in circus. There's like 50 balls and like a couple anvils.
Yeah,
But but honestly though, like, I mean, I think last year especially, you and I both came out of it like, what the fuck do we do now? Especially after Miss Veteran American, we were doing so much. It was kind of like, well, shit, like, what do we do? Right. Um, so for me, a couple goals for the new year. I definitely want to take my NCLEX exam, which is my nursing equivalency exam. I definitely want to work on expanding the podcast and getting us on more platforms. Um, I mean, stop eating like shit, but I mean that's more that's more willpower.
right.
But no, and then definitely, of course, like work with my daughter more on some things. Help her learn to ride a bike. I can't actually ride a bike anymore, so like I actually have to like learn, like have someone help her learn, and I feel bad.
Yeah.
Um, but no, and then just I guess working better with my ex as far as co-parenting is always a challenge,
Yeah.
especially when after the divorce they do get a bit salty. Um, but no, definitely some things I want to work on. And then there's a lot of events that I'm planning with the Pink Berets for next year in San Antonio. So I definitely fingers crossed on those. They're going to be pretty amazing when we do them. Hey, Jason. But what was I going to say? What were some goals that you accomplished before you even realized it this year?
So, um,
She goes,
no, so Christmas actually, that's when I said out loud. I was like, oh, I mean, I've announced it before that I've like lost over 25 pounds.
"Whoop."
Um, but they're like, what's something that you're proud of this year? And I was like, yo, I really lost like 30 pounds this year
Mhm.
without even like, I mean, of course I was trying, but like I
That's
didn't realize that amount.
that's a 5-year-old kid, basically.
Girl, stop. Like, and then one of the things I actually had wrote down that it's funny enough that it's not on my what's his major. I actually I wanted to be on like a magazine. And I was actually contacted this past year by like a health monitor magazine, like they're in hospitals and things like that. And I, I didn't like I knew I wrote that down, but I didn't realize like that it actually like
You
people.
manifested it without thinking about it. I love
So
it.
just like things like that. And what else? I would say, oh, definitely. Oh, yeah, my little workout area, stronger, definitely stronger. Um, and also just, gosh, I just say like I feel like I'm always very outspoken or outgoing, but I feel like I'm finding ways to do that, but be able to market myself
Yeah.
and just like really do something with that. Like realizing that how even for yourself, like we're able to make a not necessarily, I guess a career, but make something out of what we like to do.
And that's a struggle too, is to like, and a lot of times they like to try to box us as women veterans, especially successful ones, like the perfect princess starter pack. And it's like,
Hmm.
that's not authentic. Most veterans that are female are like, I don't do that shit, so fuck off. And then you're like, I don't feel like this is me and nor what I want to represent. And I felt like I was in that box earlier this year and I was wanting to bust my ass to get out of it because I was like, I don't want to be one of the pageant princess veteran advocates that you see out there because to me that's okay for some people, but that didn't feel genuine to me. And I think that's awesome that you got to break out in your own way too.
Yeah, and honestly, like for you, for me, my best, like anybody, we all have like I always try to remind everyone, we all have our own story, and even just maybe you don't have to go post all your business, or like maybe you don't feel comfortable, but maybe even just talking to a neighbor
Yep.
and sharing things like you don't know who you're helping, like you really don't. It could be a coworker and just yeah, I went through like if you feel comfortable to talk about things, like you never know who you're helping. As long as it's positive and like to help somebody,
Yep.
then I don't see a problem with sharing.
I agree. I think it's awesome that Jean shared the New Year's resolutions as well.
Yeah.
I think that's awesome. That's awesome that you got to see your moms. That's always important to see family. But yeah, I definitely agree with you as well. Goals for me, like that was a big one for me. I wanted after Miss Veteran America, like I felt like I didn't get to tell my story enough, but my story is so twisted and dark. I didn't want the pity vote. And so I was
Yeah.
like, I want to be able to tell my story in a way that it helps others, but it's not candy coated and perfect because the story really wasn't. So for me, like when I was writing, I mean, I wrote about ketamine infusions and I wrote about the alpha stem and I wrote about flotation therapy and I was able to get out information to help the veteran community. But I feel like us on this podcast, we've gotten out more information to a very much larger range of veteran listeners, male as well as female. And I hope that what we've given over the last year maybe has helped at least one veteran. I know I've gotten letters from veterans where they've said thank you. I really appreciate your show. And I mean, even just like little stuff like that, like it means a lot to me because I know that we're doing the right thing for our veterans and we're getting that information out there. And then, I mean, if you guys want to hear anything specifically, I mean, definitely reach out as well. It is not available on Spotify as of yet, but we are working on that right now, actually. So shortly it will be, and we will be uploading previous episodes as well. Um, but yes, it's something that we are looking at. We have YouTube right now and Facebook, but we are going to be diversifying more in the next month or so. What was I gonna say? What do you do to boost your mindset a little bit each day? Because I know you're like one of the most positive people that I know, considering all the crazy stuff you have to do with.
Yeah, but let me tell you, just the other day I had to. I try to stay very positive. I do. but I also have to let people know their like I gotta set boundaries and let people know how to speak to me. Yeah.
Okay.
So,
She said, "Don't do
but
it."
for myself, honestly, it's funny, and I don't mean to get all religious or anything, but ever since I was little, I've always been like, Jesus, that's my boy. Like, I love God. Um, but I would say, like, honestly, kind of like WWJD, like, what would Jesus do type of thing. Um,
What would Jermaine Dupri do?
what would Rihanna do? Um,
Okay.
so for me, honestly, and that's how I got into my business. I with aesthetic glam, I sell jewelry and accessories for women and men. Um, it's like an online boutique, and for
It's so
me,
cute too. If you guys haven't checked out Aesthetic Glam USA, is it Aesthetic Glam USA or Aesthetic Glam?
aesthetic glam,
Yes, she
but
has the cutest stuff on there. If you piss off your girlfriend, you might want to check that out. Just saying.
yeah, so like these earrings are from my boutique. But anyway, honestly, fixing myself, like honestly, washing my face and putting a little moisturizer on, that makes me feel good. Like brush some my eyebrows, like put some little eyebrow gel on, like I feel good already. If I put some makeup on, even better. I feel even better. If I do my hair, even oh, I'm really feeling myself now. Like,
She's
you
like,
know what I mean?
oh,
Like,
pull
you
up the
look
Snapchat notes. Are like, okay.
you look good, you feel good. And that's like working out. Honestly, this year the gym has been my like like I've got to release so much like stress. If I had a bad day, I took it out on the weights. Like I just honestly, what really helps me also is like if somebody's having a bad day and how you said, like, oh, Melissa, you're positive. I'm not always happy. Like, I'm not always like sweet Melissa, but I could be the opposite, you know? But
I know.
I also have to remember that we're all going through things. Somebody was like, oh, you're passive. And it's not that I'm passive, it's that I actually take time to think about other people. And some would say maybe an empath. But anyway, I just like, we all go through stuff. And just because somebody's projecting on me, I don't need to take it personal. Because guess what? If I take it personal and I get upset, that's only ruining my day. Like, I don't have time. Honestly, that's what I really think. I just like, okay, whatever. Because what somebody's like projecting onto you or having a bad day, that has nothing to do with you. Maybe it does. If if you know, it really does. Like,
If you know yourself, sometimes you kind
yeah,
of
yeah,
start it.
yeah.
Just saying, start
But for
firing
the
up the old wife first thing in the morning. You know you're gonna
right.
get it. I'm just saying.
But for the most part, like just know that we're all human. Like we all make mistakes. We all like just take one day at a time. Honestly, like that's been really helping me. Like that's what helps me.
I know for me, what I like to do, there's like, well, there's two different things. So a friend of mine, she's a GS-12. She actually called me. She's like, you need to start being a boss. Like, I know what you did in the military, and you doing what you're doing now is not acceptable. I'm like, what? Thanks. I was like, don't make me feel better about myself. Why don't you? And so she was like, no, like you need to do this. So she had actually recommended like every day you have to write 8 things you want to see change in your life. But you
Ooh, I
have to
like
write it every single day for 30 days. And if you miss a day, you have to start over.
okay.
So
Are
you
you
have
gonna
to
start
write like 8
January?
things.
I'm down to do this with you.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. Like that's you write 8 things that you want to see yourself completing. And then they actually have studies on this. The more you write it down, it's like you're basically willing it into existence because you're seeing it so much. So you'll seek to do those ends. So it's something that I haven't done in a while, but it actually did help a lot because it makes you realize like goal setting, like what's important to you, what are you trying to work for. And us as parents, a lot of times we kind of tend to be like, I'll do it later. And then you come back and you're so exhausted, you don't. And it's like you're back to square one the next day. But like she did like a little journal like that she liked and she would do it in that. And it actually really works. I was like, yeah, it's not gonna work. But it actually really did. And then another was I think of 5 things I'm thankful for every day. So when I wake up, before I even get out of bed, I sit in bed. I'll stretch from like my toes to my head or head to toes, where I like just like tense and then like release like all the way down. And I'll think about 5 things. Don't mind my dog snoring, lady. Um, but I think about 10 or 5 things that I'm thankful for. And it just like could be silly things that you wouldn't think about. Like for me, I'm thankful I could get out of bed. Like I'm thankful I can walk. I'm thankful that I have my daughter. I'm thankful that I'm not in a wheelchair right now at the moment. I will get a track wheelchair if I ever get put back in one of those. I'm just saying. Just saying. But so I think about just 5 things every single day, and it helps me put myself in a better mindset than I would have been just like waking up like, ugh, it's a Monday. I don't want to get up. I don't want to do anything. And then you're already in that negative mindset, and it really can affect your entire day. A heating pad, yes, the heating pad's important. Yeah, so the therapy that I've done as far as chiropractics, Jason, is spinal separation therapy. Sometimes you can get the VA to cover it if you don't have a chiropractor in your area and you find that there's a need that you should do X-rays on you, and you can do spinal separation therapy. Like if you can find a chiropractor that offers it via community care, you can do that, because I found a chiropractor that did spinal separation therapy and it was amazing. And the VA did cover 12 sessions. But I had issues with the chiropractor through the RVA because he kept calling me a quitter because I was getting a divorce. And I was like, that's not my, I'm like, just because you stayed married doesn't mean like I should stay married. Like you're in my situation. No, no, sir. This has nothing to do with patient care. Creep me out. But really stuff like that though, like it's little things like that. I mean, it really just helps for mindset. And even if you do things a little bit at a time, you'll be really surprised by what changes you can affect, even without realizing it. And then, I mean, and also it's okay to not be okay. Like you can go into this year just taking a step back, thinking about, hey, I really need to take charge of my mental health. It's not doing great. I know I've had struggles this year myself. I have to do ketamine infusion therapy. I have to use alpha stimulator therapy. And I have flotation therapy just to really be able to function as well as I do now, where I would pass as sort of normalish. But I mean, that's not to say that some people do medication. Some people, they work out and they find that it helps with the serotonin that they may be lacking, or those alpha, the meditative waves, which also it works as well. But if you find that you are in need of mental health services, the VA, as well as other programs, they do offer free mental health to veterans. So we're going to post some in the links now. So
Here, y'all.
Okay, you got it. I don't see you again. I'm sorry.
No, I know. I'm here though. Just know I'm here. I don't know. I guess it's too bright.
Well, so the Cohen Veterans Network is one of the agencies for mental health. So it's cohenveteransnetwork.org.
I'll post it right now.
And then there's also for organization through the VA that's specifically for PTSD, and that's ptsd.va.gov. And then that's for PTSD support specifically.
And they page to find the link.
Okay, so you're putting the link. Okay. And then there's also the mentalhealth.va.gov, and that's just for any variety of mental health issues. And then there's also military1source.mil. And there's so many more out there. But honestly, to any veteran that watches the show, active duty service member, first responder, it's okay to not be okay. Trust me, I believe, like I've gone through it. And I'm sure many other veterans out there have as well. It's perfectly acceptable to get mental health treatment or assistance. I've had to do 12-week patient programs to help me with my triggers. There's nothing wrong or to be ashamed of to get that help, especially now in this time. I mean, if you need it, you need it. Reach out. You can message your doc on your My Healthy Vet. You don't even have to go in. You can reach out to any of those organizations. And you can definitely go ahead and take a look at that. I mean, it's really important to take just that two-handed grip really on your mental health. And there's not a price that I can say that it's invaluable. I mean, taking care of that, you don't realize the trickle-down effect that it has, like in your daily life, just dealing with other people, dealing with your kids, dealing with coworkers, your boss, your significant other. I mean, it really does play a factor. So, I mean, if there's any veterans that have any questions, we'd be happy to send information. We are going to be posting these links to the Yes, I Am the Veteran podcast page. And if you have any questions, if there's anything that you'd like us to cover, or if you want to get linked up with anybody, please message us there and let us know, and we'd be happy to help you. And I think we're going to do the closing. Melissa, are you there?
I'm here, girl. I don't know what's going on.
What are your final thoughts, ma'am?
Girl. I really hope this helps people. I mean, just doing these things that we mentioned can really, really just like help. I know it's not always, you may not be 365 days that you'll be able, like, that you'll even want to do these things. But the more you do it, the more you notice. And I realized that when I started eating cleaner, like protein, veggies, things like that, like no chips, no bread, like, just no sweet bread, I'm Mexican. So
All the
just
good
like
stuff.
actually like protein and veggies and just the good things that you should be eating, right? And by the sixth day, by the third to sixth day, like I was jumping out of my bed with so much energy because I was feeling so like the food was was my fuel, like literally. Like when people when healthy people would be like, it's just you feel great when you eat great. Like you feel so much better. And you're like, well, I know for me, I'd be like, yeah, you say that because you're like you're healthy or whatever. But when I did it, I was like, okay, now I know what they're talking about. Like, you know what I mean?
Cutting the
So
extra sugar, there's actually studies that have proven that sugar and pain are related. People that have high sugar diets tend to find themselves with more pain systemically, and it actually causes the pain to increase the more sugar you intake. For me, that was one thing I noticed when I cut out a lot of sugars, was that my pain diminished quite a bit because I'm in chronic pain all the time. But like it goes up and down depending on like the weather or where I am or what's going on around me. But the ketamine infusions do help as far as diminishing it to like a functional extent, but it doesn't all the way help it. And it's definitely a struggle that I have to go to trying to find like supplements that kind of help there without going back on heavy painkillers again, because I really don't want to go back on morphine or methadone or Percocet because that wasn't fun. So for me, that was something I really had to focus on. But I mean, definitely just start reading. I mean, don't just start doing fad stuff because it's the new year, but really mindset is the first block. Like thinking about what you want, how you want to affect the change, and just little things, you'd be really surprised by how they can impact long term. I know for me, like doing one thing with Miss Veteran America 2 years ago, like that was just like, I'm going to apply. I'm going to be one of the first applicants. And it took me on a wild roller coaster ride. But you'll be surprised by just how one thing can have a trickle down effect into your whole life. So, I mean, definitely to our viewers, like, have a wonderful new year. Definitely just think about, kind of things that you would like to affect as far as change, and go for it. The worst thing that you do is succeed, right?
Okay.
But yeah, it's not that much fun, but I bring it up because I don't like to be all sunshines and rainbows because that's really not realistic. So I just like to talk about my experiences and other people's as well, just because of the fact that at the end of the day, I mean, we've all had different battles that we've had to face. Some are different than others, but hopefully next year I'm going to be doing a bunch of other stuff. So who knows? But I definitely want to start looking at things at a much larger scale. And we definitely do intend on increasing the different platforms and diversifying. And we're going to start doing in-person events as well. So like I said, if anyone has any questions, please just reach out. But Melissa, is there anything else you want to talk about before we end up?
I apologize that I'm not able, y'all can't see me. No, I just hope everyone has a happy new year. Yeah.
Take a shot for us, guys.
Yeah, I just drank some coffee.
I know, right? I did not drink enough, but no.
Right,
I'm behaving right now for now. But what was I gonna say? But be good or be good at it. Don't get too turned up this weekend. And there are organizations out there if you do need to get a ride, like Tipsy Toe and other organizations like that. So if you feel like you're going to be a little too blitzed and your driver is probably not the most solid, I mean, definitely make sure you have those numbers so that way you guys can definitely have those resources for you and you don't get a DUI that's unnecessary on New Year's, or to stay home and drink. So that works too. So, but just do it safely. Like I said, if you need to reach out to someone, definitely do so. If you just want to watch silly movies in pajamas all night, New Year's, I'd probably do that too. So, like I said, we'll see you guys next week. And if there's anything that you guys want to talk to us about, definitely reach out to us on our podcast page and we'll be happy to answer you. But have a good rest of the night, guys, and have a wonderful new year.
Bye.
Bye.